Yes, just saying that the presentation that I'm yet to give out is uh, based on community networks, and it is more of technical, and just to highlight some challenges, ideas, and maybe factors that need to be considered while designing a community network. So briefly, I work with Tunapanda Internet, which is a community network in Nairobi, and I think is the oldest community networks in Kenya, along other many other community networks. So allow me continue. Yeah, so in this presentation, I wanted just to understand what community networks is. So having worked with community network, which is Tunapanda, and also engaging with other community networks in Africa, I know we have several of the definitions of what community networks really mean. But to me, it means a local initiative which is by people and for people, and it is geared towards impacting life positively in the community. And again, it is built and managed by the local communities and tends to address local problems. And therefore, it would mean that for a community network to stand strong, it should be owned and controlled by the community members themselves, and should be inclusive and diverse to local communities. So when I talk of inclusivity, ideal community networks should be in a position to address, regardless of the gender, regardless of the physical appearance or color or ethnic group, but it has to like have a common goal for everyone. Because towards the end of it, I think what we are trying to mitigate is to bring the bigger half of the population into the technical, like into the online platform, make them connected. And just to brief uh, history of how internet is built, I was reading a document which was published by the Kenya National Bureau of Standards, and it was showing that almost 42% of the general Kenyan population is still digitally literate. And that might be contributed to uh, factors like there is no access. If there is access, then it is not affordable or reliable. And I thought in that line, if you think like how Safaricom or big operators work, if I avoid mentioning names, they tend to work in setups where they foresee a big return on investment. While those are the challenges community networks, I think, need to get in and solve by getting into communities or areas with low uh, profit turnaround, but with the aim of trying to build an equal opportunity or platform for everyone. So someone might ask, what are now what does community network solve in a community? When we talk about community networks, what are we like trying to solve? So maybe apart from what is written here, there is this key aspect of knowing your area of operation. We must know that if I want to serve Kibera, what is the lifestyle in Kibera? What do they need? Are we bringing solutions that are tailored towards our own views or solutions that are tailored towards the community needs? So in that area, I pointed out some few things that we tend to solve as community networks in Kenya. One of them being digital inclusivity. Of course, not everyone is connected. And again, you can be connected with a very good speed of internet, but if you don't have that knowledge or skills to use the internet, then we can still categorize you under the curve of literacy. So for us to be in a position to bridge the digital divide. It doesn't mean only like connecting people to the internet, but also going beyond the connection and making sure that whoever is connected is able to utilize appropriately the internet. If it is for business, are they using it to make business? If for communication, is it safe for communication? There we have community networks try to create enabling environment for digital opportunities. Nowadays, I think everything is going online, including education, which has been like kind of decentralized to homes due to Corona pandemic. But when government talk of remote learning or home-based learning, do they have opportunities to, do students have opportunity to access good internet access? So when community networks get in, like the scenario in Kibera, we have several students trying to plug into our internet just to accomplish their learning processes while at home. And this is something even university students are doing right now. So while enabling community networks, I think we are also creating a good environment or enabling environment for digital opportunities. And most youth nowadays tend to go towards digital online work or marketing, including the businesses. Then we have the aspect of local talent and entrepreneurship. We understand that in our local areas, we have diverse talents, which are just lying unidentified. But when we create a platform where these things can be showcased, then we bring a bigger portion of population to the face of the world so that they can use their local talents, promote their local talent, and earn money using digital platforms. And there is also this aspect of local content creation and consumption. We might have a very good content. Let's say even if we talk about the corona awareness, if we don't have medium or media of transmission of how we disseminate the information to some of them, if we talk about the youth category, some of us will not have that time to watch television forever, like most of their time. But when you channel these things through social media platform, they tend to reach a bigger population. But through this, I think the idea comes when we enable a proper and viable connectivity. So we are talking about community networks, and the question here is, how does community network look like? So to me, and the research that I've made trying to talk to other community networks around the world, the first aspect is sustainability. What is the future likelihood of the existence of, irrespective of anything else? Of course, we understand some of these things are, community networks are championed by people or by leaders or by organizations. But what if these champions cease to be? We seek to have a community network which is sustainable. It can sustain itself in the long run. It can scale both physically and in a business model. Someone needs to. Okay, there is some background noise. I don't know from the participants. Okay, then we talk about replication. This is a very key point when we refer to community networks, because let's say today Tunapanda exists, and then the next day there is someone who also wants to begin his or her own community network. Well, we create a platform where our services or activities can be replicable, then it means we make it very easy for our model to be reused. And therefore, a community network should be in a position to champion another community network, whether it is through technical growth or business growth or someone is having some noise. Then lastly, on basis of how community network may look like is the value of open source. Open source here, I mean that a community network need to adopt solutions that are open source and readily available to use. This would mean that it is something that community itself can contribute to its betterness. If it is to, if it is like let's say software, then it need to be a software that can be contributed to by the community. So while we have such, for us to have obtained such characteristics of a community networks, we need to consider.
Alphonse.
Yes.
Alphonse.
Yes.
You have about 5 minutes, eh? Could you kindly try and, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. So we consider infrastructure and technology. What are the equipments are you planning to use? What are their costs in long term? How compatible are they with the existing infrastructure, and how easy can they be learned? If I employ someone today to run the community, how long will it take for that guy to learn how the devices are operated? Then we have to check on the policies of the government, local authorities. Think about the chief in the local community. If they don't approve, be sure your activity might be terminated. Then we have this element of human factor. Human factor refers to both skilled and unskilled. Remember, for you to excel in a community, you have to involve everyone. So not everyone will be having skills that you need, but you need their assistance. Then we need to identify our base problem. What drives our motive in connecting or reaching out to the community? Is it something that we own, or something that community themselves own? So when I looked at the infrastructure as a need, there are a lot of things that you may look at when you think about infrastructure. It can be physical, it can be network devices, it can be business models. But in this case, think about what exists and what you need to add, and what are the conditions. For example, in Kibera, if you talk about tanks, we talk about tall buildings, people own them. But how do you want to engage with people to have this in structured use? And then some of them will be there to distract your links, or maybe to boost your links. So it is very important for us to know and understand the nature. In short, you have to understand the nature of the environment where you want to work. Whether you need your backhaul is going to be a fiber, or it is going to be an air link. So those things are very key when you think about the infrastructure. Then the human factor here, we talk about the skilled personnel. We talk about the community leaders. We talk about the different age groups, because some of them, or most of them, are going to be our consumers. Some of them are going to support us. And then talk about the literacy. Do they understand why you are bringing the solution and how that is need to be adopted? So for us, I think what we did in some project that we were doing, it forced us to translate the content from English to Kiswahili, just to make sure that the community is able to understand and consume the content that we are passing to them. And that is very important because when, for example, we go to Mashinani, we are not expecting to get English legends. We are going to meet people who do not know even how to read, but we need to make content in a way that it is very consumable and very friendly. So this is just a checklist that I normally adopt more so, because when you bypass some of these, you get that your activities are not aligned the way you wanted. So first of all, I always like that we design the network plan. We have the planning. Even a house, you have to have the planning of that house. Know your area, and then map out where the possible repeating nodes or micropops might be located. Then before that, you have to conduct a pre-visit, know every other thing that is required, then conduct a training and create awareness to community themselves. Tell them what is coming to the site, how they're going to interact, what are the safety and the risks of hosting such devices. Then we have on-site training. While we are doing the training, involve them, tell them this is what we are doing, and we do this because of this way. So It is a very key point that you know all these checklists, and you must have have them implemented if possible. I then finally, I don't know whether I'm on the right time. I made a video on the content that I've just presented, which is on YouTube. And I'm going to share the link in the chat so you can watch any time of your need. So up to there, I think that is the end of my presentation. Unless there is any question afterwards, I will be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alphonse. And thank you for the good presentation. I think you can share the link to the video on the chat, and we'll also ask our members to check it out. We are within time, so I will allow 2 reactions, question or compliment to Mr. Oyuch on what he has just presented. But the aspect of community networks, I think, is coming out clearly. And we can see that it's not just about putting devices together and start broadcasting. There's a lot of buy-in that is involved. And if this is not done very well, then we have a network that shall not be used. So let me allow the participants in the house to probably throw a question or 2. Okay, thanks for the link. I see there's a link on the chat. Benson Muite says, thank you. Is there a written document? This is a nice presentation. Thanks. Is there a written document in addition to the video? Maybe. Alphonse, you can respond to that. And of course, Albert Migoa also says, thank you for the presentation. Anyone else? Okay, Alphonse.
Yeah, thank you very much for the comments. Of course, there is a document that I'm finalizing, and also the presentation itself is there. So I think in 2 days' time, the document will be there with the treasurer for dissemination.
There's also a question on the chat from Tahir and Augustine.
Okay. Tahir is asking, Alphonse, how do you ensure sustainability of the community networks? And Augustine is asking, have you developed already? I believe he's talking about the community network. Have you developed this network already? So Alphonse, briefly in a minute, address the issue of sustainability for community networks, and also explain if this network you are referring to Tunapanda network, is already in operation and to the satisfaction of our participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joel. To answer the trial question, yes, it is very possible to make a community network sustainable. And sustainability doesn't just mean having an existing community network. We have to look at it in terms of financial sustainability, labor sustainability, infrastructure sustainability, and all these things need to co-work together. So to ensure that you have a sustainable community network, you have to mobilize all the resources and make them work interdependently. For example, if you talk about infrastructure, you have the technical team who knows, who have some know-how on how to set up or create a network which is able to survive. And when you talk about financial sustainability, think about the models, the business models that you are going to adopt. Is it a model that is easy to scale up, or is it a model that is going to scare away the consumers at the long run? Of course, we understand that community networks sometimes take long to catch up in terms of sustainability, but it is something that I know that it can work, because whenever we design, on the concept and the onset of the concept itself, we need to have these things designed. But the problem will come in when you want to design a business model with already running community network. Maybe you started with rolling out community net on a free basis, and then you want to bring in the paid version of it. It will take some time to catch up. So even if that is your model, then you need to have everything documented. That is the first thing. So having a sustainable community network calls for a lot, including the factors regarding the government policies. Of course, we need licenses that are tailored towards towards low-cost community networks. Remember, because most of them are not for profit. And we also call for community participation. So I think that is the concept that I've learned so far with regards to sustainability of the community networks. Then there is a Augustine asking whether this already exists. Of course, yes, TunapandaNet is almost around 10 years on the ground since it was started, and it is something that is running, and that is where I'm working right now. Thank you. Back to you, Joel.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate your time in putting together this presentation. We also want to mention Tunapanda in very special regard. They are one of our main partners in the area of community networks. Presently, we had a volunteer coming in to support their training programs. I believe this process is taking root as we desire.